So, psychiatric slavery is when people earn money from non-consensual psychiatry. That's worth saying again. Psychiatric slavery is when people earn money from non-consensual psychiatry. To rephrase it, I'll do so, to earn money from non-consensual psychiatry, so to earn money from psychiatric coercion, confinement, and force, that is psychiatric slavery. Psychiatric slavery happens when people earn money from psychiatric coercion, force, and confinement. It's morally wrong. It needs to stop. It's been legal for at least probably 200 or 300 years, and it needs to stop. It's morally wrong. I would encourage you to read books by psychiatrist Thomas Szasz if you want to learn more about the subject. But don't be fooled. If anybody tells you otherwise, they're wrong. I'm telling you the truth. And if you hear otherwise, you're being lied to. You're hearing psychiatric dogma, psychiatric lies, psychiatric propaganda. Psychiatric slavery is morally wrong. I would encourage you to read the book Psychiatric Slavery by psychiatrist Thomas Szasz. It is about a Supreme Court case, the Donaldson case. I would encourage you to learn about that. I think the Donaldson case has its own Wikipedia article if you want to read up on that. Non-consensual psychiatry is morally wrong. The implication of this is that suicide should be respected as a civil and human right for adults. It's my general understanding that the majority of non-consensual psychiatry happens because of people who are deemed a danger to themselves. Adults should be allowed to be a danger to their own self in private. I'm not saying that's good. It will be good if we can reduce suicides to zero. That will be good. However, to reduce suicides, we should use copious amounts of persuasion, reason, and kindness. We should not use psychiatric force, coercion, and confinement. Thomas Szasz wrote a book called Suicide Prohibition, The Shame of Medicine. I would encourage you to check it out. Suicide Prohibition, The Shame of Medicine. Thomas Szasz wrote about 35 books. I would encourage you to read maybe a dozen of them. I've read about 12 or 15 of them roughly, including The Myth of Mental Illness, Psychiatric Slavery, Psychiatry, The Science of Lies, Fatal Freedom, The Ethics and Politics of Suicide. As I mentioned, Suicide Prohibition, The Shame of Medicine, Our Right to Drugs, The Case for a Free Market, so on and so forth. I would encourage you to check those out. Psychiatric slavery is morally wrong. It will be banned and outlawed eventually. Non-consensual psychiatry will eventually be banned and outlawed. Unless we have World War III and the apocalypse happens, eventually enough people realize the moral deficiency, the moral wrongness of non-consensual psychiatry, and it will be outlawed. And again, we should use persuasion, reason, and kindness to reduce suicides. We should not use psychiatric force, coercion, and confinement. And it will be good if we can get suicides to zero. However, it should be respected as a civil and human right for adults when it's done in private. So psychiatric slavery should be outlawed. According to Thomas Szasz, the foundation of psychiatric slavery is the insanity defense and civil commitment. So the insanity defense should also be outlawed. I believe psychiatrist Thomas Szasz stated that psychiatric expert testimony is mendacity masquerading as medicine. I think that is well said. I would encourage you to remember that. So the insanity defense should be outlawed. If somebody breaks the law, they should be dealt with humanely in the criminal justice system. They should be dealt with humanely in the criminal justice system. And if somebody has not broken a law, then they should be allowed to go free. And suicide is not actually illegal. So if somebody tries to engage in suicide, they have not broken a law. However, laws exist which allow others to lock people up who try to engage in suicide or say they're going to engage in suicide or appear to have plans, mean, and intention of engaging in suicide. So if you agree with me on this, I would encourage you to make your own videos. Post your video to DTube, and that's the letter D, like Delta, .tube. It's a website, one of those new fancy domains, d.tube. It's affiliated, it's on the Steam blockchain. So if you actually post videos there, you can earn money from posting your videos. You earn cryptocurrency. You have to convert it into dollars through cryptocurrency exchanges. But you get rewarded in cryptocurrency for posting on d.tube. D like Delta, .tube, T-U-B-E. It's attached to the Steam blockchain. So I'd encourage you to check that out. Post videos to DTube, post videos to YouTube. If you agree with me, we need to get our voice out there. If you understand what psychiatric slavery is, if you understand that non-consensual psychiatry is morally wrong, tweet to politicians, email politicians, and if you are going to communicate your views, try to do so clearly and succinctly in ways that seem logical and people can follow. I hope that makes sense. But so I would encourage, if you agree with me, I would encourage you to engage in activism, because I'm one person. By myself, I'm not going to be able to outlaw psychiatric slavery. I'm not president, I'm not king. I can simply speak truth. I can speak truth to whoever will listen. I can try to speak truth to power. If you've been abused by psychiatry, I would encourage you to file complaints. File complaints against those who have perpetrated psychiatric abuse. If nothing else, you can at least have your voice heard. And when you communicate these sorts of ideas, communicate them peacefully, as calmly as possible. Don't break any laws in the process of communicating your views. But, activism can be done in 1,000,001 ways. But anyway, I'll leave it at that as far as the activism part goes. I would encourage you to have your voice heard. But again, the whole point of me posting this, psychiatric slavery, is when people earn money from non-consensual psychiatry. Not non-consensual psychiatry. It needs to stop. It's been around for 200 or 300 years. I support the separation of psychiatry and state, just like I support the separation of church and state. I support the separation of psychiatry and state. So that's all I have to say about that right now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Steemit. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on DTube. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night, whenever and wherever you may be. Cheers.